Hey guys, how's it going? ᖫHyper here, and I'm doing a slightly different video. I have put out one game review previous to this, and it was kinda crap. So I'm gonna do a different one, and this one is on Hyper Universe. Hyper Universe is currently one of my favorite games, and well, currently, very sadly, not talked about at all. Really, it's not. So I'm gonna go over it with you guys, and I hope you enjoy it. Now, Hyper Universe was announced in mid to late 2016 for South Korea and recently has been announced in January 2017 for North America. It made its debut out South Packs in San Antonio, Texas, which is where actually I got to get to see it and I got to play it and I signed up for the closed beta, which was really fun. Now, Hyper Universe was published by ᖫHyper. ᖫHyper is a company that was founded in 1994 and is currently the South Korean leader in online gaming. ᖫHyper may sound familiar to you because some of the games they have published are MapleStory, Vindictus, Dirty Bomb, Riders of Icarus, and even Lawbreakers, which I have also gone over. Now, the genre of Hyper Universe happens to be a MOBA. And you may be thinking, great, just what we fucking need, another MOBA in this oversaturated genre. But just like Smite, Hyper Universe has brought in a different perspective to MOBAs. Instead of the traditional top-down or the more recent third-person with Smite and Paragon, it is a 2D side-scrolling MOBA. They also changed the standard 3-lane map with a double-laned map. And yes, before you jungle mains out there get worried, there are jungles between, above, and below the main lanes. And how you navigate these maps is really fun to me. You can use specific platforms to drop down through onto the next lane. You can use ladders, which may not sound really cool, but with the ladders you can shake your escaping enemies off them to finish them off. And you use bouncy springs to get from different levels, which they may have a charge on them, which is 3, but it is really fun to just jump from lane to lane. It is very fun. I really enjoy it. And so next, I'm going to go into my pros and my cons of this game, and then I'm going to go over my opinions of the game, which you can probably tell I do enjoy this game. So let me get on to the pros. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to talk about in the pros is the class types. There are 6 of them. Now, Hyper Universe creators haven't put out much on the class types. They just say, hey, this is the class type. That they don't really tell you what they're supposed to focus on, but this is so I'm going to put together a slight mismatch of what I believe they do. So a tank, pretty standard. Class, they take a hell of a beating. I'm looking at you, Athena. Yes, I fucking am. Next class is Striker. These, I believe, are more about constant damage, not bursting down someone, but just constant damage in a lane. The next is a Bruiser, which is very much a cross between Strikers and tanks. They can take a decent amount of damage, but they just don't put out the same constant damage as high as a Striker. Next is a Specialist. Now, for me, I believe these Specialists are very more CC. To me, that's what I believe because it feels like that's what they do. They are very CC, hit and go because they can't take the damage. Next is Assassin. Very much like Specialist, but it doesn't seem like they have quite as much CC. They get in, burst you the fuck down, and get out as fast as possible. Next is Support. And as that sounds, it's just that, support. And so far, I actually really enjoy the supports in these games. They can actually, some of them can put out a decent amount of damage. It's not crazy, but I have a good time playing the support in this game. I'm looking at Pinky, who is slightly OP right now, but I love her to death. She is my favorite support right now. So the next thing I'm going to go over is tons of unique looking and playing characters with amazingly detailed models for being 2D side-scrolling and really fun abilities. And a lot of the characters in this game you will notice have a lot of pop reference cultures. Like there's a magic girl, which is Pinky, and there's like a soldier, like she makes me think of what's her name? Metroid. Samus. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You guys will probably hate me, but I couldn't think of her name on the spot like that. She reminds me a lot of Samus. And then there's like a Ryan Hart looking dude. Like there's a lot of pop culture references and Transformers and cool stuff like that. I really love the characters in this game. They're really fun, very colorful, and really fun to play. Next is great graphics. Now, as you can probably tell, I wouldn't enjoy the models as much if there weren't great graphics. The backgrounds are nice and clean and crisp. There's no bugs so far, and the models are great, and there's a great soundtrack to it. Awesome. Also, it doesn't seem like you need a crazy computer to run this. It seems like you can run it on a pretty lower tier computer, not complete trash computer. Sorry, no offense, but you don't need a godly computer with 6 million gigabytes RAM and shit like that. You don't need something crazy. You can run it on a decent computer. Next is custom builds and default builds. Now the custom builds, you can play with them. You can make a character more attack speed, more damage prone. That's up to you. You can do that. But they also have default builds which help new players for the game, which I really like because I'm kind of confused with building right now. It is very action-packed. The fighting is you're constantly kind of fighting in the game, which is very fun. You're not sitting there. There can be some long respawns towards the end of the game, but that's understandable. It's a MOBA. You can't be out in 2 seconds and just keep going. Next is collectibles. There is tons and tons of collectibles in this game. They're not really collectibles, but they're kind of goals in the game that you can do, and you can get in-game currency for them, and you can buy, with the in-game currency, you can buy equipment slots and emotes and skins, etc. in the game. Next is their unboxing type is interesting. It is not you open a box and you get an item. It's called cubes, and with this you get samples of the hypers, which the hypers are the characters in the game. And with this, once you get a certain amount, you can create emotes and skins and equipment slots and much, much more, which I enjoy. I like being able to kind of pick and choose what I get, not necessarily, just get something I already have. So I enjoy that. You might not, but that's up to you guys. There's not a lot of them for me, and some of these are just nitpicking, but I gotta put something in here, otherwise it'll be a very I love Universeᖭ video. Now, some of the cons include an annoying tutorial at the beginning. It's kind of slow, but that's just me. I'm not a big fan of tutorials. I never have been. I'd kind of rather play against AI and figure it out for myself. But that's me. So currently, since it is early access, there's not a lot of skin options, but that's understandable. More should be coming out soon. Custom builds. Now, this was in my pros also, but the reason why custom builds are in my cons is because custom builds can be confusing for some new players, especially because you gotta look through the items and see what they do, and you gotta play with the character a little bit with these builds. You can't just randomly build it in game. So far, there's not much community for the NA version of this game. There's not much there. There is great forums though. There's a decent community. It's a small community. It is very small, but so far I haven't run into toxic people or anything like that. There's not a lot on builds. There's not a lot of what's recommended to build for characters, which, as I said earlier, can be confusing for new players. I'm still playing with it, and I'm still figuring out. Since it's early access, another con would be they're still working on player balances. There's a couple characters that are severely underpowered, while a couple of them are very strong. Nothing's overpowered per se, but there is a little bit, not OP, but slightly, or I should say, very strong characters. Currently, there is a lower population on this in the game, which I believe it's because they just didn't really advertise it in NA very much. It popped up at South PAX. I didn't even know it was gonna be there until I got there and I saw the panel, or not the panel, the what they had set up. So I think they need to advertise it a little bit more and get people in it. There's not a lot of people in the game currently. The next thing is, it is $16 currently because it is early access. It will be going over to free to play. But with the current $16, I'm going to put a slight pro in there. With the $16, you get all current hypers and you get extra slots, if I remember, equipment slots, if I remember correctly. And the controls are different. You gotta learn them, that's for sure. You can rebind them so they're more comfortable, but for the default ones, took me a little bit to get used to. I play with the default ones just fine. It just took me a little bit to get used to. And that's about it about Hyper Universe for me. I love the game. I hope more people do find it, and I hope more people get into it, because I haven't seen much about it online, like, at all. Like, most of what I can find is Korean websites, and that's people who have been playing it since 2016. I really hope NA jumps into it more, because I really enjoy it, and I think it's a very fun game, and I hope others do too. So that is it, guys. That was my game review of Hyper Universe. I'd love to know what you think. Are you guys gonna get into it, or are you just gonna wait till it's free to play? Are you gonna wait for gameplay to come out? Let me know, like, what you guys think. I think it's really fun. That's me. That's what I think. And yeah, so that's it, guys. And this was ᖫHyper, and I hope to see you guys in another video. So yeah, that's it. Bye, guys.